Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, Joe Troyer here. We're going to be getting started in just a couple minutes. Tonight's topic, guys, we're going to be talking about getting started quickly. So, guys, if you would, go ahead and throw in your questions that you guys have about getting started and getting started quickly, and I'll make sure that we get those questions answered right away. What's up, Derek Kledeck? Good to see you in here. Christopher, Roger, Doug, how's my volume, guys? Great, good, great, awesome. Hey, John, can you hear me? Let me know. You should be unmuted. Awesome, John. Can you talk? I just want to make sure you're good to go. Cannot hear you. How about now? Can you try now, John? We will be getting started in just a couple minutes, guys. Mark Benda, what's up, buddy? Lori Mooney, hello. Jeff Smith, Steve Allen. Seeing lots and lots of familiar faces. James, what's up, James? John, I still can't hear you. You are unmuted. Can you hear me now? Hey, John Gregory, Thomas Brandt, happy to have you here as well. Good evening, Mark, Dan, Steve Johnson, what's up? Lee Pearson?
Joe, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, John. Wonderful.
Actually, I'm on my computer now, so.
All right, well, hang on one second. Let's get this thing kicked off. All right, guys, we are going to get started right now. As I said, tonight's topic is getting started quickly. On the line with me for the first couple minutes, I have John Marenko. John, did I chop your name up? Is that how you pronounce it?
No, you're good. That was perfect.
Wonderful. So many of you guys saw John's comment in the Facebook group. John just signed a 29 location agreement, and we're just going to chat with John for a couple of minutes. John, when did you actually sign this deal, or when did you get the check?
Well, you know, Joe, I signed the deal about 2 weeks ago, and the check's supposed to arrive tomorrow. So
Wonderful.
I'm really excited about that, of course. If anybody didn't see the post, basically what it is, you know, I had everyone was interested in know what I did and how I got them, and it's in the service industry. 29 different locations means that I have 29 different cities. So from New York to LA, and what I did is I had a client from the past, and they had referred me to these other locations, and so it's all local lead generation. But the twist is they have a $350 base fee, and so if you add that up, and I'll do the math, that's 10 grand a month, just a base fee to take care of their Google Places. I created a separate site for each location using keywords for their different cities, and so it's organic and Google Places.
Okay, so that base fee, John, is just to basically come on board with you. That doesn't mean that they're going to automatically get leads, right? So you're actually charging them for booked appointments, correct?
Yes and no. The 350 does mean they could get leads.
Right.
That because of their Google Places, I'm using their real phone number. But because of the extra, the reason they're not paying for the extra is that when I say extra, I mean that my optimization, the lead generation program that we're all a part of here, is the extra part of it. Does that make sense?
Yep, that definitely makes sense. So this is just kind of your base fee just to get them in the door and get them started.
Yes, and that's a per month fee too.
Great. So I did the math for you. That's just over 10,000 a month, 10,150 bucks. That's great, right out of the gate. So I know the biggest question, John, that everybody was asking you in the group was, how did you actually land this deal? Can you give us a little bit of backstory on how you actually landed this deal?
Sure. As I was saying, I had a client that I had done some previous work for, and they were happy. And how I got them originally was I had put out, if we're doing lead generation for companies, then I have done a methodology or strategy that says I want to, service these kind of people. So I put out videos, press releases, just all kinds of different inbound marketing materials that says what I do, right?
Right.
So Joe, I actually put out probably some good articles. I don't even really remember what it was. Using Craigslist, using press releases, using different article outlets. And that particular business called me because of my inbound marketing efforts, the things I had put out, the material I put out, and I got that initial client through those efforts, and then I turned them into a loyal customer, and then they referred me to those other locations.
Yeah, man, that's just killer. I was talking to John earlier, and I was like, man, you got to jump on the call tonight. I just want to share your story with everybody. It's absolutely amazing. But I think, John, you don't give yourself quite enough credit, and by that I mean if you can only get each location one appointment per day, I mean you're looking at approximately 800 appointments per month. I mean, on the low end, I mean, if you're just going to charge them 50 bucks per confirmed appointment, I mean, you're looking at 40 grand a month in recurring income. And then, of course, you have the $10,000 base fee on top of that. So, congratulations. That's a super killer deal. And I wish you all of the luck, man.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know how it goes. But yeah, it's pretty sweet. So
Definitely.
I will appreciate the time here, Joe.
Yes, definitely. Thanks so much for jumping on, John. I appreciate it. I know you have your daughter's dinner to go to tonight, so I definitely appreciate your time, and I look forward to catching up with you in the group.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, John. Talk soon. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So I just wanted to share that case study with you guys real quick because just taking care of one client, guys, can turn into big things for all of you. And if you guys would just tell John thanks in the Facebook group. So we're gonna get kicked off, but before I do, I just want to share a couple things. We have a bunch of people asking how to get into the Facebook group. To do that, guys, log into the local lead generation explosion members area, and once you guys do that, At the bottom, there's directions on how to get added to the group. If you guys aren't in this group, you guys are missing out big time. It's getting very, very active, and lots of bright ideas getting tossed around there all day long. So tonight's topic is all about getting started, and we're going to get started right now. And I just want to clarify, guys, there's two different ways that I do local lead generation. So basically, the two different ways are, one, the client comes to me. So this is typically a referral, or like John was just saying, maybe I'm doing some type of inbound marketing. So these are guys that are actually coming to me before I'm already in that niche. And the second way, guys, is markets that I just think up that I want to target. So I do some research. I look at the cost per click. I look at what my competitors are charging, but I don't have a client. So let's just jump into this, guys, real quick. So when I get a referral or the client comes to me, I always pitch to do an AdWords test. So my pitch is very, very simple. Okay, so my pitch is, I will set up a website and your AdWords campaign. You only pay for the ad spend. After 30 days, we'll look at everything and come up with a mutually beneficial agreement. Okay, so by look at everything, guys, I show them the AdWords account. I say, you got this many clicks, this is your cost per click, this is how many calls we got, and we really look at the numbers together. After that, guys, you want to make sure that you shut off the account after 30 days. Don't run it more than a month, because what happens with AdWords, when you guys are working on it, you're going to see the cost per click start to go down. Cost per click starts to go down, so does the cost per call, and everything's going to get much cheaper. So we've got a lot of questions about what type of minimums do you set for the test. So guys, our minimum is $3,000. So somebody has to be committed to spend $3,000 on the test with Google, with the ad spend, in order for us to do it. So guys, this is our AdWords account. Again, with this model, with the lead generation model, you want to own everything. You don't want your clients owning the sites. You don't want them owning the AdWords account or anything. So if you guys have questions on AdWords and getting started, take a look at the PPC training webinar that I did with my business partner, Ben Pate, in the members area. So if you guys log into the members area, at the top left, you're going to see something for Q&A webinars. And once you click on that, guys, you will see any upcoming webinars that you guys can register for, as well as all the archived replays. So before I go any further, are there any questions on the referrals or this method? I just want to make sure that you guys all, that we're all on the same page. So how do you brand the website? So Dustin, I just put my client's information on there. Keep it very general with the domain name, but I'll just add some pictures and their USPs, their unique selling propositions, to the actual site. So if that helps, Dustin. Yep, Sean, it's on our AdWords account, not theirs. Kim says, what if the business doesn't want to spend $3 grand? Then I don't work with them, Kim. Are there any considerations besides the client willingness to pay? Yep, definitely take a look in the members area. There's a questionnaire that I ask, you know, of all the questions that I ask, that'll definitely give you some clarity. John says he has a question about billing. John, let's get into that in a little bit. I'm going to open it up for general Q&A. Let's keep it purely on this referrals and the AdWords test. Ben wants to know, have you had a client not want to pay after the spend? Not very often, Ben. It does happen occasionally, but if they're not willing to spend $3 grand on a test and you're not charging them anything, it's probably not the client for you, Ben. Steve wants to know, after 30 days, how do you set the price per lead? So Steve, I just take a look at what they're currently paying. So after the 30 days or during that 30-day period, what did they pay? And what was that per lead? How much revenue did they bring in? And then I take a look at the competition as well and see what they're charging. And I just factor that in. Guys, with AdWords, as long as you guys are in there playing with your ads, making changes, and striving to better the campaign, your costs are going to get better month after month. So the easy way to do it is just to give them the same price that they got in the first month, because you know that it's just going to keep going down. And guys, with AdWords, that's going to be the most expensive traffic source that you guys go after. So this means that every other traffic source is going to work better for you guys. It's going to be cheaper. You're going to have a better ROI. Got a ton of questions. Yep, Sean, you want to benchmark the AdWords at 30 days. Let's see. Nigel has a question. Nigel says, is the AdWords used for just the first month, then you switch to the normal lead gen sites, or AdWords is the monthly service? Whatever you're comfortable with, Nigel. You can use it just for testing, but if you're making money, why wouldn't you continue using AdWords as well? Obviously, you want to get into things like Google Places, Google Organic, video SEO, and other things besides Google as well, but that's just scratching the surface. You're welcome, Nigel. Yep, maybe use Yahoo, Bing, Facebook. Yep, there's plenty of different things that you guys can test as far as that. Yes, Stan, this webinar will be in the resources area. Sean wants to know, Joe, in the first 30 days, are you using dynamic telephone numbers or not? I am. I want to see the keywords that are bringing in the exact calls. So yes, refer back to the training for that if you guys don't know what the dynamic telephone numbers are and the dynamic keyword insertion. Yep, you got it, Derek. So Greg, no, I don't charge them anything for the first 30 days. It just allows me to easily test the market. Guys, do you guys all know who Dan Kennedy is? Dan Kennedy has a quote, money is speed, and I completely agree. If in 30 days you can find out if a market's worth being in, you're stupid not to do that. You're going to be off to the races and running. So definitely consider doing the AdWords method. All right, guys. So I think that's it on the AdWords stuff. We're going to jump in to the other way that I do lead gen. So guys, the other way that I do lead gen is basically I just think up a market that I want to do business in. So when this happens, I want to keep my costs low. Okay, so typically I go after Google Places, video SEO, and organic SEO. I use these three sources because they cost me very, very little money and they get the phone ringing. So, does anybody have questions just on this concept before we move forward? Dion wants to know, Joe, you mentioned that we should shut off the AdWords after 30 days. I don't understand why. Dion, you just want to shut it off so that your stats stay the same. It's going to continue to get cheaper. So just shut it off until you come to an agreement. So if that takes a day or if that takes a week, pause the account. Okay, does that make sense? Every day, it's going to get cheaper. Norman wants to know, how do you decide what niche and what geographic areas to go after? So Norman, I don't go after anything with less than 100,000 people. And in the course, in the modules, we go over my criteria for selecting a niche. So take a look at that, Norman. If you still have questions, please let me know. So guys, for Google Places, you're going to need a virtual office. So whatever city that you guys want to work in, you need to do a search in Google for that city and virtual office. So if you're going after Chicago, you're going to want to do a search in Google for Chicago virtual office. So guys, there's some things to take into consideration when you're looking at the virtual office. One, is there going to be a setup fee? Two, how long is the contract? Number three, will they let you add additional businesses to that virtual office? And if so, will they assign you a different suite number? So I recommend staying away from the big boys like Regis and all those guys. You'll see them most of the time bidding in pay-per-click. And these guys have virtual offices all over the country. And typically they're going to charge you a nice setup fee and they're going to lock you in a longer term contract. And when you ask them to add another business to the virtual office agreement, they're going to tell you no, that you need to sign another contract. So if you work with the little boys, typically no setup fee, a lot of times month to month or a very short term contract. And you can find ones that will let you add additional businesses to that same contract. So a lot of times they'll give you different suite numbers. If they don't give you different suite numbers, guys, for each business, just add an extension onto the end of that suite number. So you could say suite 215 number A1, suite 15 or suite 215 number A2. Does that make sense? So you just add something to the end of it so you have a unique address. So guys, just as a idea for virtual offices, guys, I'm paying anywhere between 25 bucks a month and 75 bucks a month. So just to give you something to look at, if you guys can't find something on Google, search Craigslist. I ran up against this 2 weeks ago. I was going into a new area. I couldn't find a stinking virtual office that met my criteria, and I ended up finding one on Craigslist. So just another resource there for you guys. So Jim says, anyone have a list of virtual office companies? Jim, when I first started, I scraped a list of the top 10 virtual office companies. But Jim, that list is garbage because every single one of these want to lock you in a long-term agreement. Okay, they want you to pay a setup fee, and they're not going to let you add additional businesses to it. So that's not going to do you any good, buddy. I don't work with Regis, Bob. No. So Grant wants to know, do you have vendors set up to handle the customer requests prior to market test when the phone starts ringing? So I'm guessing Grant is talking about this model. So when I could find a market that I want to target and I start to rank, what do I do when the phone rings? So guys, I'm going to give you a big heads up. This is what I've been doing. I've said it in the past, but I don't think some of you have gotten it. Every day, I change the outgoing number to a new prospect. Okay? And I let the whisper do my selling for me. So let's say that you set up a site, it's getting 3 calls a day. Okay? So you set up a new leads phone number as the outbound number every single day. And my whisper says something to the effect of, you have a new incoming lead from Web1. To learn more about getting more leads like this, call, and then I give them my phone number. Guys, this does all the cold calling and all the selling for me. So try out that model. I don't think you guys will be disappointed. Sean says, sweet. You guys like that? Cool tip. Somebody says, I heard Google calls to check info on the company, not send the code. I've never gotten phone call verification. Well, I wouldn't say never, but I would say in the last year, I've never gotten a phone call verification versus phone card postcard verification. So Gilbert, that's out. Love it, love it. Thank you. Great tip. Awesome. No, Heather, they don't hang up on it. All right. Yep, Google uses postcards. Susan says her client just got a Google call. Yep, and Susan, that will happen occasionally. You will have a client that possibly gets a Google call. We've documented that in the Facebook group. I personally haven't had a client that got a Google call. I've had a couple of calls that came in and people act like Google trying to sell SEO services. Telemarketers are getting a little sneaky. But you should have your clients answering the phone with your site name. So if your site name is Miami Roofing Consultants, on the Whisper, you should let them know that. And they should be trained to answer it accordingly. Does that mean their business name is that? No. That's just how they're answering the phone. You don't want to have a disconnect with your clients either, or your prospective clients. So they go to the site and they see Miami Roofing Consultants, and then a customer answers, Miami Roofing or Miami or Miller Roofing or something like that. Does that make sense, Susan? So guys, the Whisper is in the call tracking platform, and I show you guys how to use it in the demo. So take a look at that. Just log into Analytic Call Tracking, and it's on that first page under the install video. Nope, guys, I haven't had any problems with local businesses picking up the phone. I keep it very short. You have a new incoming lead from Web 1 to get more, and then I give them the phone number, and that's it. Guys, please don't ask me for markets to target. I've covered this a million times, and my exact criteria is in the course. Okay. All right, guys, so I'm going to keep moving. We got a ton more questions. I will circle back to these, but I want to show you guys a case study. Okay. I've had some feedback from you guys that think that it's hard to get these sites up and it costs a lot of money, and I'm here to debunk that myth. So guys, I built out a site. I used the Leadgen theme that you guys all get when you bought LLGE. I had 3 banners created and a logo created. Guys, I used Fiverr. This cost me 20 bucks. Next step, I added 8 pages of content. I used a site called textbroker.com. Cost me $12 per page. I got 8 pages, so 96 bucks. My next step, I set up Google Places. Very simple. I looked at what categories my competitors were using, used the same categories. I uploaded 5 pictures, and I uploaded 2 videos. I just made them with Animoto. Really simple stuff using the same images that I uploaded to Google, plus a couple more. And that's all that I did for the Google Places. Just very simple account creation. Nothing outside the box, guys. Next step is I actually had 2 more videos created with Fiverr, and I uploaded those to Google Places. So the verification or the Google Places setup now is completely done. So I'm done setting up Google Places. I went and bought 2 link wheels from Fiverr. Basically targeted 3 keywords for those link wheels, a little bit longer term, but a good commercial intent keyword. So it was very likely that if somebody typed in this search phrase, somebody was going to buy. They were serious. They weren't window shopping. So guys, next step, order 200 citations. So these are the local business listings. I used WLmarketing.com. So guys, WLmarketing.com. It cost me 75 bucks for 200 citations. So these citations are all the local business listings, and they submit my NAP. So by NAP, I mean my name. So I use my site name for the name for this, guys. Address, my virtual office address, and my phone number that I got from Analytic Call Tracking. So I did some minor link building with Fiverr and SEO Clerks. You guys might not have heard of that resource before, but you guys should check it out. Spent 60 bucks, and I was just backlinking my domain. Okay, very, very simple stuff. The site's still ranking, even though all the Google Penguin, Google Zoo drama. I have no problems ranking this. In total, I spent $271. Okay, guys, I hit the 7-pack on the first page. in 7 weeks. Okay, guys, now I'm starting to gain a ton of traction, getting up to like the 5th spot instead of, the 7th in the 7th pack. Guys, my volume can only go up. So guys, just a quick tip on Fiverr.com, whenever you use them, whenever you search for something, so if you're searching for somebody to create a logo for you, go to Fiverr, in the search box, search for logo. It's going to bring up all the people that do logos. Always sort by the rating. So I always use the guys that do a good job, have good feedback. So guys, with this case study, within 2 months, I'm getting 24 calls a week. Okay? And in this market, I can sell leads for $32 a piece. So guys, $32 a piece times 24 calls a week, $768 a week. Guys, I'm netting over $3,000 per month. And guys, $32 each is pretty small. Okay, everybody have some aha moments. Okay, population size for this city was about 200,000. Great question, Darren. John, I'm not going to tell you what niche because the second I do, you're going to compete with me. Guys, I've shared with you guys like 5 or 6 different niches throughout all my videos, showing you tons of case studies and stuff. And then almost every market, one of you guys is competing with me. So please don't be offended if I don't share more stuff with you, because I'm only making more competition for myself. So guys, I wanted to clear some other things up too, just to get this straight. When you guys are starting, think about this. Guys, I love doing local lead gen, but I did not fire my traditional search engine marketing services clients until I was making enough money with lead gen to justify losing that income. Guys, the last thing that you want to be is strapped for cash. So continue to build out your lead gen stuff and to work on this model, but don't just drop all your clients and your income. Not really the brightest idea. So guys, a lot of you guys have been asking me if I still take regular clients. And guys, yes, I do. I take regular clients still, but my minimums since this lead gen model have went through the roof. So you guys all should have your number. If a client is willing to pay you X amount, then you will work for them. Guys, there's no set answer for this, but you guys should all have your number. Does this make sense to everybody? Yes, yes. Totally, yes. Yep, yep. Awesome. All right, guys. So, as I told you, we are launching. I told you guys in the email as well as it's been in the Facebook group. We are launching a mastermind program. This isn't going to be for all of you guys, but for those of you guys that are, this is going to be a great opportunity. I want to share with you guys now how you can get in on that, and then I'm going to circle back around, and we're going to answer all of your guys' questions. So let me just exit the presentation real quick. And I want to show you guys how you guys can get in on this. So I'm just going to throw the URL into the chat. So guys, we're launching something called the LLGE Inner Circle. So Local Lead Generation Explosion Inner Circle. So guys, this group or this mastermind was created with one purpose: to help your guys' business grow, to make more money, get more traffic, get better conversions, and systematize your business. Okay, so the groups are going to be made up of 8 to 12 members besides you. And we're going to be doing a private monthly 60 to 90-minute group coaching session. So guys, what are we going to talk about each month? We're going to be doing hot seats. So hot seats will help you guys get past any barriers that you're currently up against. We're going to be doing site reviews. So guys, actionable steps to get better conversions. Group testing. Think about this. It's going to be 7 and 11 other people in your group. So you're going to be able to leverage the testing of 7 to 11 other people on your guys' site. This is really powerful, and for me, this is a really big one. I'm going to get a ton of value out of this. Actionable content. Guys, this is designed just like all my other training. No fluff, no BS, and right to the point. So always 100% content. There's never a sales pitch, and you guys' questions are always answered. You guys know I can't stand bullshit. We simply don't have time for it. You guys get the real content delivered every month, all live. So guys, I do have some qualifications for the program. Not everybody is going to be a good fit. So here are the conditions that you guys must meet in order to be considered for the program. First, you have to be 100% ready to do whatever it takes to drive your business to the next level of success. Number two, if I ask you guys to go read a book or watch a video, I don't want to hear excuses. You have to go do it. Number three, I can't work with you guys if you or your business are involved in any sort of unethical practices. Just a big no-no for me. Number four, you guys must implement the simple stuff that I tell you to do. I absolutely refuse to be the cause of your failure. I'm here to teach you. It's up to you whether or not you guys succeed and make the best possible use of this investment in your life and your business. I only work with proactive people, period. So also, you guys should know that there are absolutely no refunds with this program. Okay, offering refunds in a mentorship program is a huge mistake. Guys, it's an easy out from success. Okay, I'm going to absolutely do my part, but I need you guys to do your part as well. So I only work with doers. So guys, if you want to get in, I gave you guys the URL in the chat. The inner circle dues are very simple. It's not $7.97 or $9.97 a month like you'd expect from the other gurus. It's just $197 a month. Guys, space is limited. If you want to jump in, I just showed you how. And guys, the program is set up to run for 4 months. So if you do move forward, after you guys buy, you're going to come to this application. If you guys don't fill this thing out in its entirety, I'm going to refund your money and you're not going to be included in the program. So that's that. If you guys want, here's how you guys get access. If not, that's no big deal too. So let's jump back into the questions. I want to make sure that I get all of them answered tonight for you guys. So Christopher wants to know, is this only going to be open for a limited time? Yes. So we have a number in mind. Once it hits that number, we're going to be taking it down. I'm sure we'll open it up eventually. Mike wants to know, will it be offered again after 4 months? Probably, Mike. So guys, yep, this webinar will be recorded just like every other one. Let's see. So Ken has a great question. He says, talk about the site disconnect. What tricks are there to have a lead gen company or a lead gen complement the company site? So if a company is called Smith Roofing and the lead gen is Miami Roofing Consultants, how can you minimize the disconnect? Ken, throw up logos on the site with your client, Smith Roofing, on it. Throw up a picture of their vehicles tagged with Smith Roofing. Okay, and when you do the whisper, you could always have a message that says you have a new incoming lead from Miami Roofing Consultants. Okay, then everybody's going to end up on the same page, the lead that's calling and also your customer. Derek wants to know, if you're a member for 4 months, can it be an ongoing thing, or are you out after 4 months? We'll definitely be re-upping after 4 months. You just need to reapply, Derek. We got a question, what will be the schedule of the meetings? There's going to be a couple different groups. And on the survey, I ask you guys what the best time is. So I'm going to try to accommodate you guys as much as possible. Julian wants to know, in the site or in the course, we talk about micro data generator. Is this to put in non-verifiable addresses not good for Google Places? No, Julian. This is specifically for putting the markup on your site in the way that Google likes it. That's it. So micro data generator takes about 5 minutes to do, and I've seen across the board a little bit of a jump in my local rankings just by doing this. So nice little tip for you guys. Lou wants to know, is the monthly cost of $197 for 4 months? Yep, for 4 months. Jay wants to know, do we need to have clients or lead gen sites already to be a part of the mastermind? Nope, just fill out the survey to the best of your ability, and we'll let you guys know within 72 hours if you guys are approved. Steve wants to know, with the AdWords test, do you try to spend the whole $3,000 in the first month? Yes, that's crucial. You want to spend that in the first month. Hope that helps, Steve. Yep, Daniela, so it's $197 a month for 4 months. Yep, Richard. So Steve has a great question. He says, how do we find out how much our competition is charging and being charged per lead? Well, do a search in Google for whatever niche you're in and lead. So if you're going after catering, use this example a lot. Just do a search for catering leads, and you guys will find lead gen companies. So phone them up. I've done this a ton. And if you guys look in LLGE, I give you guys a document that's like 80 different lead gen niches. I just called up a bunch of these and just asked in different niches that I was interested in, Steve. Don says he just joined. He's pumped. Awesome, Don. Glad to have you. Austin, let's see. Austin says, when doing the AdWords first month and it's a contractor, are the ads for one product like roofing, or do ads on rain gutters, remodeling, etc.? I would try to segment that down, Austin. Maybe do 1 or 2 verticals, but I wouldn't go after the whole ball of wax right away. But that's just my personal preference. You could do it however you want. All right. Albert wants to know, can you recommend someone to build a website? Well, Albert, I give you the WordPress theme. So really, all that you need is to set up WordPress. If you're not sure how to do that, just outsource it to somebody on Fiverr or Odesk or something else. You might want to check out the outsourcing webinar that we did. It's in the LLGE under Q&A replays. So after you get WordPress set up, you just need to do a logo and 3 banners. That's really all that you need. So I would just suggest outsourcing that as well. So you don't really need to build a whole website. I try to make it as easy as possible for you guys to get up your sites. So guys, again, Steve wants to know 2 banners and what else. So I do 3 banners and 1 logo. So I can get it done on Fiverr for $5 a piece. So you're looking at 20 bucks. If I want something really, really nice, I might go to Odesk or something like that. So guys, whenever you're outsourcing, my suggestion is to pay 5, 6, 7, 8 people to do one job, and whoever comes back with the best, then you can use moving forward, or the top 2 or the top 3. Just take a look at what you get, and then you can work with those top people. But until you go out and test some people, you're never going to have somebody to turn to that's going to do a good job. So go out and do a test project for design, and then you guys are going to have these people at your resource whenever you guys have a project to do. Yep, Dion. So I do 200 citations for Google Places, and I do that right away. So I set up the account, and while I'm waiting for the verification, I do that 200 citations. When I get up and I get some traction, then typically I do like 100 more. So if I get ranking in the 7 pack, let's say I'm number 7 for a bunch of different keywords, then what I'll do is I'll order another 100 citations, and typically that gives me a nice bump, and I can be in the top 3 or 4 for most of my keywords. So Tom says the state of PA requires all contractors to be licensed and to have their license number displayed on their website. How do you handle this situation? Put the license number, Tom, of your client on your site. Jack says, do you always have the same citations or is it niche dependent? I just use an outsourcing company for this, Jack, and it changes a little bit. I think probably around 100 are always the same, and the others can change up a little bit. So I do find some niche specific ones that I get submitted to. Steve says, how much better do your websites do using rotating banners, images with call to actions than just static images? Steve, they do a good job. The reason why I really like the rotating banners is because I'm able to throw a lot of information in there. So because I can put typically 3 to 4 different call to actions or USPs, unique sales propositions on one banner, I can fit a lot of stuff in there, and I think it does a good job of getting the prospective client's attention or your client's prospective client's attention. Linda wants to know, do you have training on how to do the video SEO? Yep, it's in the back office with a bunch of other stuff for you too. We just did that last week. MB wants to know, is the WordPress theme mobile optimized? I mean, it works on mobile. Does it look real pretty? No. The great news, I'm working on a solution for that for all of you guys. As soon as I'm done, it will be in the members area. Keith wants to know, what company do you use for citations? Again, it's WLmarketing.com. So when you get here, you just need to go to products and local business listing. And this is the one that I get, 200 right here. And then when I'm done, I just get another 100 after I start to get some traction. So once I'm on the first page in the 7-pack, to get some more traction, I do 100 more. So I hope that helps, Keith. Eric wants to know, do you do the main citations manually or do you do them all through WL Marketing? I do them all through WL Marketing, Eric. David wants to know, after ranking the site, is there continued monthly activity, backlinks, etc. that need to continue to keep the site ranked? Really depends on the market, David, and the competition. Not every market's going to be different. I have sites that I set up, 4, 5, 6 months ago that I haven't touched, and they're still ranking well. I'm still making a ton of money on them, and I don't even really do anything. Other markets, the competition is more fierce, and I have to keep up with those a little bit more. So every month, I got to be working on those. So going to completely depend on your niche and your city and the competition of that, David. Jack says, a tracking phone number different than Google Places phone number will affect ranking in Google Places. Yes, it will. That's why I build mine out with the number that I get from analytic call tracking, so it's the same. So all my citations use the tracking number with analytic call tracking, Jack. Patrick says, how do you use Magic Submitter? Great question. I did a training 2 weeks ago with David Sprague. He does all the training on Magic Submitter. Guys, that's in the back office. For most niches, this is probably all that you guys need to do for SEO. I always suggest, though, throw in some other stuff just to keep your stuff nice and diverse. You never want to focus on one strategy. Okay, for some reason Google changes up its theories or starts to go after something, you don't want to get stuck, and you don't want your site to tank. Paul, it doesn't really matter where they go. Janice says, for Google Places, what are you doing for the client after the first 30 days when you've ranked them in the top 7 pack? Trying to understand what we need our outsourcers to be doing to maintain or improving the ranking. Janice, mostly I'm finding that on-page SEO and citations are the biggest thing for Google Places. So as long as you work on those two things moving forward after the first 30 days or once you get into the 7 pack, that's all you really should have to do. Alex has a great question. Alex Gray says, "Will Google Places accept the same company name and suite number with different department numbers?" Alex, I'm not real sure, to be honest. To be absolutely transparent, Alex, I've actually done, when I first started getting started with this, I used one virtual office, the same exact address. I have 6 different sites ranking for the same address, all in different markets, and they haven't been penalized at all. But Alex, moving forward, would I do that? No. Guys, for these niches and these assets that I'm creating, I don't want them to be susceptible to some type of Google slap or anything like that. So I keep everything that I do, I play everything very safe. So that's why I use different suite numbers, just makes things look more natural. Mike wants to know, have you ever used UBL for citations? I have not, Mike. Gilberto says, if you receive too many calls, how do you distribute the overflow? Great question. Really simple. I just get another client. I replace my current client. I give them plenty of time to scale up, and if they can't handle the call volume, I have to move on. Yes, Dion, I am. Stan, that might be okay for you because, you're a doctor. So Stan's a doctor, and he says, in a previous presentation, I said to stay away from professionals. And by stay away, for me, I said that because for me, Stan, it takes a lot more effort to sell to professionals. But because you're in the industry, it may be easier for you. But for me, doctors don't really get it. They're not really business people at the end of the day. Most doctors that I know just want to go into work, do their thing, and they want to go home. So if you think, Stan, that you can sell to them, then by all means, go for that. For me, it's just harder to sell to people that are in that professional niche. Yes, WL Marketing can build citations for you in Australia, John. Yes, David, definitely. Eric says David Sprague's training is actually somewhat overwhelming in terms of all the processes, steps, and his local ranking. So he's talking about Maps Marketing Blueprint. Eric, in my opinion, it's the best course on the market for Maps marketing, so Google Places. But for me, all that I have to do is just do the steps that I shared with you guys earlier, and I have no problem getting into the 7-pack. By all means, if I do have problems, I'm going to be hitting up David and asking for his help. What should I do? But for me, that does the job. So I try to keep things at that minimal effective dose. I don't want to have to do 100 things if I could get the same result doing 5. Jay wants to know, should we avoid those services that are only a one-man shop? I would highly suggest it, Jay, unless they're willing to give you just a super sweet deal. So if they're going to give you a deal unlike anybody else, maybe make you a partner in the business or something like that, I would possibly consider it. But they're going to have to scale up really, really fast. Jim says stay away from attorneys. I do. Definitely bar rules. You don't want to work with attorneys. Paul wants to know, besides AdWords, is all your traffic generated through Google Places, video SEO, and organic SEO, or do you drive with any other strategies? I'm testing driving with some other stuff, Paul, but the companies that I work with, Paul, are primarily um, businesses that do the best from that form of marketing. So, but what I mean by that is I'm in niches that aren't window shopping niches. Okay, so it's like emergency, not maybe not real emergency, like they just got shot or something, but AC breaks, they need to call somebody to fix it. Okay, and things like that. So for me, Google is the best place for that. You know, Facebook wouldn't do very good with that niche because you can't really target people that AC just broke or their water pipe in their house just broke and they need a plumber. So I have picked on a couple of other clients that aren't in my typical realm of niches, and I'm testing out doing some other things with them. Testing out doing deal sites, which seems to be really good. I think I can make some really good money in a short amount of time. But like always, guys, I will share my results with you once I have achieved those. So I'm testing out some other things. Facebook has worked for me in the past, but I'm testing out the deal sites, and those seem like they could be a huge deal for me. Sean, take a look at the SEO strategy, the webinar that I did. There's 2 of them. Those should answer all your guys' questions on SEO. Rich says, I'm an attorney. Oh, sorry, Rich. No, joking aside. He has a peer who wants drug defect cases, and the cases settle for millions sometimes. Cost per click is very high, $25 per click plus. Any alternatives since he wants national leads? No, I would stick to Google Places. I've done some stuff with attorneys, not lead gen, but just they've paid me to do lead gen, or they've paid me to just monitor their AdWords account and set everything up and stuff. And Rich, you're exactly right. I paid up upwards of a couple $100 for a click. So I would do Google Places if I were you, Rich. Bob has a great question. I know we've covered it in the past, but guys, for billing, Bob wants to know, do you send clients monthly invoices or do you use something like PayPal? So for billing, guys, I charge my clients an upfront retainer. So I work just like an attorney. So if I'm getting, let's say, 30 calls a month, so very low volume, I just got the site up, just started to rank, and what I would do is I would charge them a retainer for a month and a half of calls. So 30 calls a month, 45 calls is what the retainer would be. So it'd be $45 or 45 calls times however much per lead. Okay, I do a month and a half. So I bill the very first of the month. So the first business day of the month, I go through, I send them out a report from Analytic Call Tracking. I say, here's all your calls, and now you have X dollars left in your retainer. Please replenish immediately. Okay, and they just send me a check, or some of them I draft from their accounts. I do ACH, and they agree to let me pull money from their account on their approval. So I do that retainer, and Bob, that works really well for me because I always have money sitting in that retainer. I'm never waiting. I'm never playing bill collector. Yeah, so Rich, you just want to do places in multiple locations. It's going to be way cheaper in the long run than pay-per-click. With attorneys, that's very, very scary. To be frank, he could lose his ass overnight. So personally, if I were you, if he wants them nationwide or national leads, pick the top 10 cities in the United States and do the exact thing that I showed you earlier with the case study. Just do Google Places. So pick the top 10 cities, get in there for those keywords. You're going to save yourself a ton of money, Rich. So guys, just so you guys know, all the stuff that I do, I show you guys from my real life experience. So we had a question related to keyword research, and that my method was different from other people's. Guys, you can do keyword research however you guys want. I just show you guys my method. Just adopt my methods, what you guys are currently doing. Okay, and that's what's going to work out well for you guys. Somebody wants to know how many leads can you expect to generate from Google Places, and he's giving me the search match for that. There's no way of telling, to be honest. All you have to do is set it up, and if the lead's worthwhile, you can get paid enough per lead. You have to look at it at the end of the day and say, is this worthwhile or not? Virtual office, Stan. That's how you can go after 10 different cities. Les wants to know, for local marketing packages, do you bother with all the other services like Yahoo, Local, Bing? I get submitted to them. I don't focus on the rankings, Wes. Dylan wants to know, what is a comfortable amount of leads you should anticipate? Don't anticipate. Look at what you guys are currently doing. Charge a retainer based upon that, a month and a half. And when your volume goes up, change the retainer amount. All right, we got a tough question. What kind of turnover do you have with clients? How many decide to stop working or don't pay or whatever? Because I have it structured like I do, I don't have many that don't pay. And that's because I do the retainer. So if they don't pay, they don't replenish, I immediately go sell their leads. So my turnover, though, is very, very low. So it's going to depend on your prospecting, though. If you let every client through the door and do a campaign for them, obviously you're going to have more turnover than if you're very tight on who you accept. So personally, in the last let's say 4 months, I've only lost 3 clients. So for me, that's very low because I have a ton of different sites, Richard. Mark wants to know, Mark Upshaw, what conversion rates do you expect from your websites, visits to calls? Mark, it completely depends by industry. I've seen anywhere from 60% to 10%. So 60% of the people, or I think the highest is like 67%, that click, call, and as low as 10%. Greg says, from Craigslist, the virtual office expense is 50 to 110. Yeah, so try to go with the cheapest one. I would just make sure they don't lock you in a contract and things like that we went over before, Greg. Do you suggest Basecamp to get the client organized with the process and setting goals? I use Basecamp personally. Are you making 50K plus a month with just lead gen? Yep. Derek Klidek, my man. How do you determine to sell leads versus earn a percentage of revenue? And which of these would you suggest for someone who is just starting off? It's based on the market. Is it based on the market? Yep. So completely based on the market, Derek. So think about the client value. So for me, let's say with like commercial roofing, for example, that's a big one. I do percentage because I can, get $100,000 to $150,000 roof very, very easily every single month. So just think about the lifetime value of the client and the average purchase. So it should be pretty easy for you to figure out which would be better, percentage of revenue or per call. I hope that helps, Derek. Roger says, if you're in Google Places and you don't have many calls coming in, what do you do? Change content on your site? Question mark. Roger, I would take a look at how many clicks you get. So you need to know how many clicks you get compared to how many calls. And at that point, Roger, you can find out if you just have very little traffic, maybe you need to rank higher in Google Places or consider a different niche. Or if you're getting a good amount of traffic, but it's just not converting. So if it's not converting into calls, then you need to work on your site and making that convert better. Back to the disconnect question, are your videos all about Miami roofing consultants, or is the Smith roofing peppered in there as well? On my videos, it's only Miami roofing consultants. My rule of thumb is that it has to be easy to change. So I don't want to have to go resubmit all those videos, take them out of the Google Places account and all that. So I just change the stuff on the site. Derek, perfect, thanks. You got it, buddy. Grant wants to know, what is the number of clients for one person to handle? It's all about your preference, Grant. I mean, do you want to work with a handful and do it by yourself? You know, maybe outsource some projects here and there. You want to work with a ton and build a big business. I mean, that's completely your personal preference, Grant. How do we track clicks on Google Places? All of you guys should be using some type of tracking script on your site so you can see how much traffic you're getting. It comes default in cPanel. You can also use things like analytics, quick pick, and things like that. If you have a high bounce rate on your site, what do you suggest? Take a look at your competition, and if you don't really have good competition in your area, like the sites aren't very good in your area, can't find anything, look in other cities. Most likely you're doing something wrong. So look at the offers, look at the images, see how you compare to the competition, and test. We got a question. When you're doing percentage of revenue, what is your typical percentage that you negotiate with your clients? Completely depends. Anywhere from like 10% to 20%. I got a deal I'm trying to sign right now for 25. I'm sure if I dropped it to 20, they would be good to go, but I'm just playing with my boundaries and seeing what what I can get them to sign. So there's really no rule of thumb. It's going to be different in every market. So just talk to them and see. A good way to see is to ask them what they pay their salespeople. And a lot of these industries, guys, they'll have salespeople that are getting a percentage of the revenue. So they're just straight commission. So ask them what they're getting and take it off from there. So, hey, they're getting 5%. Okay, I want 10. Roger says, what other than cold calls do you use to attract new business? Have you checked out the modules, Roger? I tell you guys what I do to get all of my business. Yep, we're recording this. Richard says, on all your sites, do you include some kind of discount other than the offer in your call to action? Oh, well, you can have lots of call to actions, Richard. In the service industry, a percentage off works really well. If you have a service call fee, try free repair or no service call fee with repair. So if they actually repair something, the client or the prospective client just gets charged for the repair and not the service call fee. For things like dentists and chiropractors and stuff with consultations, some type of free consultation works really well. Free teeth whitening, free exam, things like that. Lawrence, I don't see your question. I'm sorry, there's a ton of them. Guys, please don't send me a message saying, can you give me an answer? Just retype your question. So when you retype it, I have this like little tiny box with GoToWebinar that's not even an inch tall with all the questions in it. And we got a couple thousand questions. So just please retype the question. I'll make sure I get to it. Benson wants to know, how often do you need to change the landing page once it's set? If it's set, leave it set. If you're happy with the conversion, there's no reason to tinker with it. Doug, no, you can't. You're welcome, Benson. Uh, Samuel says, when you start a site from scratch and you don't have a client yet, do you just put up a generic USP until you get one? Yes, exactly. You got it exactly right, Samuel. You hit it on the head. Alex wants to know, how do you select the company name for Google Places? The name of the site. So, for example, MiamiRoofingConsultants.com, the Google Places account for that when I set it up, or if I set it up, would be Miami Roofing Consultants. Dale says he's just starting out. He has a friend who is a builder. Do I use his address or a virtual address when setting up the site? Dale, I would use a virtual address. I know that he's a friend, but to be honest, friends aren't the best people to do business with. And so for that reason, and you know, I never do it for a normal client anyway, I would use a virtual address because you don't want to ever be in jeopardy of losing that asset. So use your own address. You guys want to own everything. Do you use PayPal for clients? No, I do not, Gilbert or Gilberto. I use ACH, which allows me to pull right from their checking account, or I'll do a wire, bank wire. They have to initiate the bank wire though, or they can send me a check. Will call tracking be ported to Australia in the next 2 months or so? Colin, I have no way of answering that. That's all based on Twilio. So I don't know. You could ask Twilio. I know that they're getting requests from our users every day, but I have no ETA from them, no confirmed ETA. Roger says if I would go after a county instead of one individual city in order to get 100,000 or more population. No, Roger, because Google Places results come up by city, not by county. So you would have to have 3 different locations to get to 100% population or 100,000 population in your example. So no, one city, 100,000 people. That's my rule. I mean, you guys can do whatever you want, but that's my rule. Doug wants to know why not UPS store mailbox? Because think about Google. They could easily wipe that out in one foul swoop. I'd rather be a little diversified. Lori says, is using a term like best in the URL and places a good or bad idea? Best Maui Roofers, bestmauiroofers.com. I don't see any problem with that, Lori. So it looks like we got a couple questions that are on the same thing. People wondering or asking about the LLGE Inner Circle. Guys, this is just an option for you guys that want to join some type of mastermind and are really concentrating on this business model. Do not feel pressured. If you guys want to do this, do it. If you don't, that's completely fine as well, guys. Susan says to use WordPress multi-site. I do not. Dion has a great question. He says, do you provide your outsourced writers any sort of framework or outline? So yes, Dion, and what I do is I just go look at the competition. So I don't do it directly in my city. I go look at competition in other cities, and I usually pick big cities. And what I do is I just try to find the best looking, best reading sites that I can find. And I take notes of their approach. So I might find 10 that I really like across the US, and I take those 10 and I pick out the things that I like best. I pick out the logo, I pick out the banners that I like best. And the same for the writing. So And with the writing, I just outline what I like about it, give a couple of examples, and I shoot that out to my writers. Yes, Chris, all those calls in the example above were from Google Places. Well, I can't exactly say 100%. The videos aren't on page one. I'm not ranking organically on page one. The only place that I'm getting any sort of traffic from that I can see that's substantial is Google Places. Uh, um, Mike wants to know, in your example earlier showing $32 per lead, can you tell me the average client value per customer to that client? I can't. I don't really know what that is, Mike. You would think that I should take that next step and probably do that, right? The problem is I just haven't had the opportunity to. So I just set the site up. It's doing well. I found what the competition is charging. I found a client and I got it fulfilled. So for me, it was just more of a matter of urgency and getting somebody in there. So I can always go back once I start getting some more volume and play around with the pricing and do some more, research. Dale wants to know, how do you know on a percentage of revenue agreement that the client actually closes the deal? I make them tell me whenever a deal is closed and they get a check. And I have my admin notate all the calls. So any calls on a percentage of revenue agreement that lead to some type of free analysis or meeting or consultation or anything like that, I have my admin mark. And when I send that client the monthly report, within a week, they have to send me a report giving me an update on each client. So that's how I keep track. If I think I'm smelling something fishy, I just call up the client, tell that I'm doing quality assurance checks, and say, I'm calling from Miami Roofing Consultants. This is Joe. I'm just doing quality assurance checks, and I want to make sure that our customer service reps took care of you, and they'll just start talking. So that's how I do it. And also, when I sit down with an owner, I pre-frame this correctly. I tell them up front that I'm going to be calling people for quality and training purposes, and that I want to make sure that he's taking good care of my leads. I tell him right up front that if he's not, I'm going to take him away. And I tell them if I find out he did a job and I didn't get compensated for it, I'm going to take it to his competition. Again, I'm going to take it away. But as long as you pre-frame that right, Dale, very few times should that actually happen. I've only had one percentage of revenue deal really go sour. Mark wants to know, what are your properties generate the most call volume? Google Places or videos? Google Places definitely over videos. AdWords typically over Google Places, but the ROI for Google Places is much better. Richard says, if an orthodontist wanted to do lead gen services with you, would you work with them? How would you handle the Google Places listing, practice name, etc.? I wouldn't. I would not work with an orthodontist. And guys, the stuff that I do business with, if my clients or people that come to my lead gen site actually would end up visiting the client, I hide the address in Google Places. So just to keep that clear. Steve says, when creating a Gmail account, they call you to verify. Do you use the same number to verify multiple accounts? Yes, you can do that. Or you can use a call tracking number, Steve. Yes, Dion. Yes, guys, I will include the slides from tonight. No problem. Julian, I'm not sure what your question is. If you could just clarify it, I'll be more than happy to hear you. Steve said, just to be clear, you hide the address in Google Places. Yes, if somebody is actually going to come to that location, I hide it because I don't want them coming to a dentist office that's at a virtual office. To me, that's a huge disaster. So personally, I hide that stuff. That's just a judgment call for you, Steve. So somebody says in the group we have to have disclosure on our sites in the inner circle. I completely agree. And if you guys read the sales page, I didn't want to read it all for you because it gets a little boring. But definitely take a look at it. But guys, I openly on the sales page say if you go into a niche based upon learning it from somebody in a mastermind group, you're going to be kicked out. I won't tolerate people going into other people's niches. No problem, Joe. Uh, got a question. Can you make the outbound number rotate between several different numbers? We're actually working on this, Brendan. Isn't done yet, but will be shortly. Sorry, guys, just looking through your questions. There's a ton of stuff in here. Ted says, how many keywords on average do you use for one niche? Well, Ted, as many as there are, honestly. Whenever I start out, typically I go after 5 to 10 different keywords. And once I'm ranking well for those, I switch those up. Andrew said he just landed a big client for listing apartments for rent, actually apartments I designed. He says he was the architect and sold the development company his Google Places service. Awesome, awesome. But maps don't pop on basic search, although people will click specifically on maps. Any advice on the apartment market or getting maps to pop on search? Andrew, I've done some research on the apartment market, and it looks like the payout's decent, and it looks like the organic is not very competitive. So personally, if I were you, I wouldn't want Google Places to pop. Just makes it easier for you to swoop up all the business. So just focus on traditional SEO. Take a look, Andrew, at that webinar that I did with David Sprague. That's exactly what I would do if I were you. David says, can I duplicate my site for each city I want to go into and just change the location in the text, or do I need to rewrite the content? I always rewrite the content, and I change up the banners a bit. Not a ton. They all have the same type of look and feel, but I switch things up a bit. Okay. Alex wants to know, so if your company name is the same as your website name in Google Places, how do you market more than one vertical in the same virtual office? Great question. You need to get a different suite number or add a different extension, Alex, and you just send your mail to that address. That's it. So it's going to be addressed to a different company, but at the address where you're allowed to get mail. So the mail will come to you. Joe wants to know, how long will the LLGE mastermind registration be open? Joe, it all depends on everybody's feedback. So if we hit our number tonight, it'll be closed tonight. If it hits it tomorrow, it'll be closed tomorrow. But I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Steve says, do you do anything with clients complaining about low conversion rates? Yeah, eventually I will. So if I think they're going to be a good client and they're not having good conversions, I will look over their calls in the back office in ACT, and I'll try to see what the competition is doing better than them. I always want to help local businesses. I'm not going to spend days on this, Steve, but if I can sit down for an hour and I can figure out how to make that business owner a lot more money, he's going to be happier with my service because he's going to be making more money. So definitely, Steve. Michael says, do you see a problem with using a web form on the site? I don't. I just would tell you, Michael, to think about the niche that you're working in. So for me personally, web forms don't do anything on my sites. I've tried putting them up. I get a couple form submissions, but in the niches I work in, again, people want to talk to a local business owner. They don't want to submit a form. So guys, your toilet breaks, water spraying everywhere. You got to get a hold of a plumber. You're going to fill out a web form. If it's a different niche, kind of going outside of things, Michael, that might be okay. But always know that the goal of your client is going to be to get the prospect on the phone. So why would you plug them into a web form when they can get them on the phone right away? Steve says, instead of web forms, do you recommend the business owner to get a live answering service to answer calls 24/7? If the calls are coming in after hours, Steve, definitely. Darren Blair. Looking for another question from you, Darren. All that I see your question says is, what about catering quotes? I'm not sure what you're looking for here. Can you clarify? Jay, is 197 the total for 4 months? No, it's 197 a month, Jay, for 4 months. Jim wants to know, have you had much success with Facebook marketing for Leadgen? Jim, I had success with 2 companies. I've tried about 10, and 2 of them were successful. So just think about your niche. If it's a shopping niche, it might do okay. But if people are looking for a solution in like an emergency type situation, it's probably not going to do very well. It's going to do okay for name recognition and for branding, but not really for getting you a lead at a good price. No additional cost in the inner circle. Just 197 a month. If a business has poor phone skills, will you analyze calls of a business, do tweak sales scripts, or give a list of new questions? I do sometimes. It all depends. If I have time, I'll gladly do it. I've sold this as well. You guys might want to think about this. Tell them that you're analyze their phone calls for a couple months or something, and you'll actually write them a script. Actually outsource this and made a couple grand from a client that just couldn't close anything over the phone. So What I had the outsourcer do was call up a bunch of different companies that were competitors in different cities and just ask a ton of questions and give different objections. And that's how we basically created their phone script. Hope you like that one. I just got in the Leadgen program. Matthew, welcome. It says, how long will it be until the replay is posted? Matthew, typically it's the next day. Sometimes it takes me a day or two, but typically it's the next day. Welcome again. Jim wants to know if you ever put a video on your squeeze page. Guys, I really don't, not for local businesses. I got a couple members that said that they're testing this, but I haven't heard their results yet. Joe says, I'm new to LLGE. Do we need any additional software? It all depends on how you want to do it, Joe. That's kind of like asking me, how do you build a house? Well, there's lots of different ways to build a house. It all depends on how you want to do it, how fast you want to do it, and how much work you actually want to do, and how much work your outsourcers want to do. There's a lot of different ways to accomplish the same task. Steve says, what would the first three components to outsource for greatest time savings be? I mean, Steve, the biggest things for the LLGE stuff are just design, so they can do the banners and the logo, and then content writing. That's really it. And then figuring out your SEO strategy moving forward, Steve. Got a question about porting numbers to Twilio from Colin. Colin, I'm not sure what you meant. So, Colin, you say, can ACT be ported to another company like Twilio? So, ACT uses Twilio, Colin. Are you asking if you can port numbers to Twilio and use them with ACT? If that's the question, then yes. Go to web1support.com and go to the knowledge base, and we show you how to port numbers over to Twilio. If I got that wrong or didn't understand you correctly, just repost. Jamie, I'm actually working on that. So I'm not going to shout out your question right now, but when I have something, I will definitely share with you guys. So yes, Grant, the client charges vary based upon how many leads we bring them. So it's not a fixed budget. When will the mastermind start up? Within a week. Will the replay show us how we can use LLGE to choose a good niche and what to charge per lead or appointment? Nope, those are in the modules. So guys, this is additional training. So if you haven't yet, if you just got into the course, make sure you go through the modules. So there's 7 modules. You need to log in. Log into the course and go through those. And also check out all the archive trainings. So yes, Nigel, in that method that I showed you, I do WL marketing citations and get the virtual office before I actually get the client. So Paul wants to know, how do you handle the address on your Leadgen website for businesses whose customers will visit their business? I know you hide it on Google Places. So Paul, for this, I show both addresses. So I say something to the effect of office visits, and then I include my client's address. And then I say for office or paperwork or administrative, and then I use my real address that I'm using with the virtual office. Hope that helps, Scott. Austin wants to know, do you care about reviews? Not really. I add a couple of reviews to my site, and they're all generic. So they're all like, blah, 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 helped me find a good pool cleaner. So Miami Roofing Consultants was fast and courteous. And I just get these by following up with my leads, because I don't want to be dishonest here. I don't write fake reviews, and all that I care about in Google Places is that I show like a 5-star review or the all stars. So that really helps with my click through. So I don't really care about reviews. I just get a couple of them on there to help everything stick. So I looked at the modules in the course, and they're kind of vague on specifics. Yep, you gotta kind of figure this stuff out for yourself. So guys, I didn't want to every module give you guys a 2-hour video for you guys to watch. Okay, that's not what this course is about. The course is about getting out there, putting the stuff into action, and seeing it work. Once you guys see it work, you're gonna figure out what niches you guys like, what to charge, and things like that. So if you guys have a question, you think I didn't cover something well enough in the modules, just jump on here and ask them for me. That's what these training calls are for, and that's why I gave these to you guys. So, Alex Gray, what's the URL for the membership site? It's localleadgenerationexplosion.com/member. So let me just post this in here for you. All right, guys, I got about 20 minutes left, 15, 20 minutes. Keep your questions coming, and I'll try to make sure all of them get answered. Mark wants to know, how much money do you expect from a niche? So it's kind of hard to say that, Mark. So I need to know when I do a pay-per-click test that I can make $2,000 a month within like 6, 8, 10 weeks, something like that. It's a little bit harder on the other end with when you actually go after a niche, because it's kind of hard to predict how many calls you're going to get, what you're going to be able to. I mean, you can figure out what to sell it for, but you can't really predict the call volume. So I just build them out as long as I think they're good. And if I don't want to keep the site, I just flip it. So I sell it to the business owner. So I say, hey, I'm getting 50 calls a month. Give me $5,000. You can have this site. So for me, it's kind of fun. It's almost like real estate flipping. I can make a couple grand real quick if I don't think it's really going to be worth my time. Nope, Paul, never encountered an issue like that. Guys, again, please don't ask me a question to answer your question. Please retype it. Again, I don't mean to be rude. The chat box, I can see 4 questions at a time, and then I have to scroll. So it's very difficult. So just please retype it, and I will get to your stuff right away. Dan, what's the number one thing we should focus on if we just join your program? Go through all the modules in the course, pick your niches, buy your virtual office, get your site set up, get everything moving. That's the number one thing you should be focusing on. Okay, because guys, the timeline to rank in Google Places is about 2 months on if everything goes well. It can take like 3 months. So if you're going to be counting on that for a big part of your ROI, Dan, go get those sites set up. Don't let any more time pass you guys by. Mark Benda, do you go after very competitive markets? Honestly, local is not very competitive, even in huge cities, or not what I would consider competitive. So I'm used to going after like big keywords. Fat loss, ranked the client for number 3 for fat loss before the lead gen model, ranked the company number 2 for the keyword watches, some things like that. So for me, local is not very competitive. The only niche that I say I stay away from because of competitiveness is locksmiths. That niche is so dirty, and so competitive, but that's the only thing that can really come to mind, Mark. Nigel says, do you actively advertise your lead gen services or rely on the lead gen sites bringing in clients? I pretty much rely on the lead gen sites because for me, it's, again, Nigel, that timeline. So I build these sites out as fast as possible. So guys, in like the last 6 weeks, I've probably built out 10 sites. So guys, this is, for me, is a huge opportunity. I love training all of you guys, but guys, I make money with lead gen, and that's where I spend most of my time. So I build those things out as fast as possible. Lawrence is asking if I build out a site first. Lawrence, it all depends on where basically the beginning of these slides. Did it come from a referral? If so, I do AdWords. If I don't have a client to plug into a site, I build the site out first with Google Places, Google Organic, video SEO. So all the basic things, very little, very little cost, very high ROI. Dion says AdWords question. Joe, I've got about 90 keywords for my first AdWords client. What is the fastest way to assemble lots of AdWords ads? Try out the AdWords external tool. So it's basically a program that you download. That for me is the fastest. Jeff says, Joe, really cutting edge, life-changing power, so thanks for sharing the massive value. Thank you. I appreciate that. Guys, comments like that are why I jump on each of these calls. I love seeing you guys succeed. Dale says, in a large city like LA, are you going after the larger city, or do you go after the townships or smaller cities within the city, within the larger city? I start with the big city first, Dale, and when that works for me, then I go into the other areas. But that's just my personal strategy again. What do you think about Places Scout software? Joe, I don't have Places Scout software. For me, I use David Sprague's software, and the reason why is it works really, really well. Whenever I have questions, David is always there to answer them. So for me, I kind of have my Google Places, mentor already figured out, so I don't go looking for other stuff. Nigel says, for newbies, when you mention traditional client work, I assume there aren't any, or was there a part of the course you think we could be marketing prior to the lead gen sites taking off? So, I mean, Nigel, you can obviously use, you can sell call tracking, and then you can use the additional trainings that we do, SEO, video SEO, pay-per-click, to go sell those as just traditional stuff. So yes, you can take some of that knowledge that you gain from that and go do services for clients. Clients are good for covering, I say my nut. So every month my expenses are X, that's my nut. So clients are awesome for covering your nut until you guys have your lead gen model built up to where you can, be okay with dropping them. So, and guys, I don't just directly drop them. I just say my minimum is now X. So if you want to work with me, this is what it is. If not, that's fine too, and I apologize for the inconvenience. That's it. Wes says, is it possible to rank subdomains like dallas.niche.com, houston.niche.com? Yep, we talk about that in the last module of the course, but I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket, Wes. So I had a huge affiliate site, had a couple 100,000 pages indexed, Wes, and it got slapped, and all of it went away. So I wouldn't suggest just doing that. If you're going to once you find one vertical and you scale it, I definitely think that you should build out, a site like that. But also, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Matthew wants to know, can you give us access info for David's Places program? Um, I can definitely get you guys on a webinar with David to talk to you about, his Places strategy. So if you guys are interested in hearing a webinar with David Sprague, post in the Facebook group, and I'm meeting with him actually this week, and I'll show him your guys' posts. So if you guys want it, I'll make it happen. Okay, but show me that you guys want it in the Facebook group. Steve says, "Why would they slap you? You're such a nice guy." that site wasn't very nice. It was a little off white. All right. So Eric says, soon he's going to have access to more than 40 offices in a specific niche across Canada, and thinking of offering a service like Leadgen, just like John. Would you be willing to help me get an offer up in return for a cut? Eric, I wouldn't. I just have too much stuff going on, and I don't ever like to extend myself too far. So, guys, I just had to clear a ton of time away in my schedule for the mastermind, because that's going to take a ton of my time. And right now, I don't have the time to take on any future projects. I'm not saying that I won't in a month or two, but right now I don't. So, Eric, my suggestion for you would be to throw that in the group, in the Facebook group, and I'm sure there's going to be other people in the group that would love to JV with you, and just connect with them on Facebook and see if there's something that you could work out with one of them. So, guys, if any of you guys have not gotten added to the Facebook group yet, again, there's a link in LLGE on the members area on the homepage. All you need to do is follow the instructions there. So just send me a message on Facebook. I'll give you guys the link. Add me a friend. Add me as a friend. Send me a message that says LLGE group. Dale says, what's the URL for the Wikipedia list? So all you need to do is do a search for U.S. cities by population, and it'll come up number one. So, guys, there is no address to the Facebook group. It's a secret group. You can only get in by following the directions. Okay, if you sent me a message already and I didn't add you, again, I apologize. You guys know I get a ton of those. Just send me another message. I'll get you guys added right away. Colin says, do you find that rent or lease sites pose any real competition? Not really. I haven't found any real competition besides some of you guys that, took my niches. Doug, just send me another message, buddy. I'll get you added. James, I'm not sure what your question is. You say, what about the people who bought your current course? Let me know. So Roger says, do you suggest turning your company into an LLC for legal protection? Guys, always ask an attorney for any questions related to asset protection or anything like that, or just for any legal stuff. um, but for me personally, I'm set up as a corporation, and my tax guy told me that that was better, and that's the route that I have personally taken. All right, guys, I got to end this thing. Thank you guys all so much for being on the call tonight. If you haven't yet, get in the Facebook group. Let me just show you guys how active this is. For those of you that are like, oh, I stay away from Facebook and things like that, yeah, X out. Please don't send me any messages at this exact second, guys. So this is the group, guys. This is John's comment. We were talking with John earlier at the beginning of the call. As you guys can see, he has, 19 comments here. There's another post that just got posted. Another one. Guys, this is all today. So hopefully you guys see the power in this. Make sure you guys send me a message. I'll get you guys added right away. And guys, again, URL for the mastermind. If you guys want in, do it now. Don't wait. LLGEinnercircle.com. I just threw that in the chat. I look forward to catching up with all of you guys. I'm going to get off, but if you guys could do me a really, really quick favor, would you guys tell me what you guys think of the course so far and any big aha moments? Would you just type those in the Q&A box? Please do that for me. I would really, really appreciate it. So tell me what you guys think of everything so far in the Q&A box. All right, guys? For those of you guys that are still on, thank you so much for your comments in the chat box. I really, really appreciate it. We got some great feedback in here, and I appreciate working with each and every one of you guys. I'm gonna go away. I'm gonna leave. I look forward to seeing all of you guys next week on our call and chatting with all of you guys in the Facebook group. And again, if you haven't yet, just please tell me why you like the group, what you think of the course, your biggest aha moments. Thanks again, guys.